Hi all. In this video, I'll be walking you through how to set up and run the Assignment2, and I'll be talking about Assignment2. So if you see on Canvas on Assignment2 path, we have already provided the main file or the CPP file that you guys must be completing the code in. And also there is a supporting .txt file called books.txt. So this serves as input to the code that we are writing in CS202 homework2.cpp file. So to begin with, go ahead and download both these files. And if you see, I'm creating a folder called A2 for Assignment2 on my desktop. And you can see the path. It's currently on desktop A2. And right here, I'm downloading the homework file into. And in the same path, I'll go ahead and download the books.txt file. So both my program file and the input file are in same location. And now Visual Studio Code. And walking you through how we can open the folder so that it points to the A2 folder that I've created on my desktop. Like I'll show here as well. So on my desktop, I have this folder called A2, and this contains both the files that I'm talking about. So observe the path. It's on desktop A2. So right here in Visual Studio Code, you have an option called File in the menu. Click on File, and then you can click on Open Folder. This allows you to select the folder where your files are, and I'll be selecting A2 so that it opens up that corresponding folder in Visual Studio Code. Now here I have both the files. If you see on the left-hand side pane, I can see books.txt as well as CS202 homework2.cpp. And now the agenda of this assignment is that we will be implementing a class called book. And if you see the PDF file, all the details about this class have been provided to you. So it's like a first, hands-on writing part aimed at writing a class, writing the class member variables, functions, and stuff. And also this is like our first attempt in understanding a UML diagram. So we'll be looking at this book class diagram, and we will be implementing all the tasks or, this entire class. And then we will be reading data from a file into this class, and then we'll work on that. So if you notice the homework2.cpp file, there are a lot of to-do comments. So the idea of this assignment is that you have to write the code after every to-do comment, and these comments will help you in writing or solving this assignment, and they will act as like hints or some sort of instructions like that. So to begin with, we have a class called book, and notice that in this assignment, this class file is directly available for you in the homework2.cpp file. But in the upcoming assignments, this will go as a separate header file. So be cautious on that. So in this file, if you notice, your task is to get started with declaring the class members. And here we will be only writing prototypes. We won't be writing the complete function definitions. So notice this diagram. Everything that starts with a minus, that's an indication that these are private member variables. So go ahead and create private member variables. And yeah, right here. So we're not giving any scope. So by default, it's going to be private. So your task is give the variable names here, like for example, string, title, etc. So you need to understand the comment. So it says finish declaring member variables, title, author, ISBN, and copies. And you can see the appropriate data types from the UML diagram or class diagram. And then once you have those, your task is to complete the public member variables or member functions. So notice that there are two constructors for this. You should be declaring their prototypes. We won't be implementing the complete body of the constructor or the functions, but we'll be majorly focusing on writing class definition. So go ahead and write up all types of constructors and functions here. And, you can see the comments like setters and getters and stuff. So you will be writing all the functions. Now, once you have this class structure implemented, your task is to, the agenda of this assignment is to read data from this file called books.txt. There are approximately 15 books, or, there are 15 books, and each line of input contains a name of a book, and then the author and the ISBN number of the book and number of copies of that book that we have in inventory. So we are doing something like a library kind of system, let's say, and we are trying to keep a track of all the books that we have in this library. So now, inside main, what we'll do is we'll create an array. And now this is not an array of integers nor array of float like that. This is an array of books. And remember, book is a custom data type that we are writing now, that we are implementing now. So once we have our custom data structure or data type skeleton implemented here, we will go ahead and write up the main function. So inside main function, your task is to declare the book array of books, and you should be calling it like it's up to you. We can call it books, I think. So that should do. Yeah, it should be books. So you need to create an array of books, something like this is the data type, this is the array name, and then you will be giving the number of elements that this array should contain. And for this purpose, we have actually provided you with a constant called max books, which is defined declared at the global scope level. So we have already a constant max books in set whose value is set to 100. So that means this file is capable of holding 100 book elements in an array overall, but we'll only be reusing 15 slots of that. Yeah. So once you go ahead and complete this array declaration, something like this, and then I have provided or try to recall what command line arguments are. So these are something that we pass in when we try to run the program. Like for example, I'm using Windows. So whenever I compile my program, after a successful compilation, I'll get something like a.exe file. So while running the file, the expectation is that when we are running at that time, at the runtime, we will be providing the input file name. So this way, instead of reading the file name from the user in a do-while loop, we are reading the file from the user while the program is running. So that's what we are doing. So, and this part is automatically taken care for you. You don't need to worry about the command line arguments and stuff. That's already taken care for you. And it'll ensure that whatever you provide here, that's valid and all the checks are done in place for you. Now, another thing is that, the file opening part, everything is taken care of. So now once you have the file open, your task is to read till end of the file. You know this already. And then in this part, what you have to do is, like for every line that we read from the file, we will be creating a book object. Okay. So for example, we have a function called here already, read book from file, which is almost implemented for you. So if you see, in this while loop that we are talking about, like while read from file till end of file, your task is to read or call this function read book from file. And notice that for this function, we are passing the pointer to the file. So input file pointer, whatever we have, we are passing to it. And at this point, you don't need to worry about pointers. We'll talk them in the upcoming classes, but or treat it as input file variable. So you have access to this file variable, which is mapping there. We are already calling this function. So what's happening in this function is that we are reading line by line. So all the four attributes like file, title, author, ISBN, and copies, we are reading them into local variables within the scope of this function. Now your task is to return a parameterized constructor. So that means you're calling a constructor or you're calling an object of book in the form of the same signature as that of parameterized constructor. So you need to call that. It'll return back an object called book, and your task is to store it into an array or the array and keep track of how many lines or how many books you have read from the file. So that pretty much concludes the main function. So in main function, all you would be doing is declaring an array and then completing this part of while loop where you will be reading data from file, calling this function read book from file for every line, and then updating it into the array. After that, your task is to complete these constructors, both default and parameterized constructors. So we have seen this quite a few times in the class. So the instructions are also pretty much straightforward. Go ahead and then do them. And yeah, the major part of this assignment is to sort the books in the order of titles. So you need to complete the bubble sort algorithm logic here. You feel free to implement any of the sorting logic that you would like to try, preferably bubble sort, but it doesn't need to be bubble sort. It's up to you if you want to try something new. So all the things like the array of books and how many valid elements are there in the array were already provided to you. So think that the maximum size that you have to iterate in the array, everything are provided for you. So go ahead and complete the sorting logic. And then I've provided like a couple of setters and getters for you for as a reference. So for ISBN, I've provided setter and getter. Your task is to complete the other setter and getter functions. And also remember in today's class that we have discussed that even though there is a parameterized constructor, we still need setters and getters because we want to change the value of a variable, we want to update the value of a variable and so on like that. And at the end, I've also provided a print function, print book. It prints the book in the required output format. You don't need to worry about this. So the focus is majorly on writing a class, structure of class, and implementing the methods of class outside the class. So that's what we are focusing on. And notice that all the functions, because we are only declaring function prototypes in the class, we are not declaring function body in the class. We are only declaring function prototypes. So any function, any class, any member function of a class, if you are only writing prototype in class, then what we have to do is we have to refer to that using the class variable. Like for example, this is the class name and sort books is a function that is part of the class. So to tell the main function or the C++ compiler that this function is part of this class, this is the body of that function. So for that as an indication, we are using book scope resolution operator followed by the function name. So that's the deal. And you have to complete all the other setters and getters. Print book is already done for you. And this operator will talk about it. Like so far in our classes, we have been talking about function overloading, constructor overloading, and eventually we'll see operator overloading as well. And this is like a glimpse of what operator overloading is. We'll talk about this in the upcoming classes and we'll understand it. Then that's all within the scope of this assignment. You'll be reading content from the file instead of like integer array and so on like that. You are declaring your own data type called book. You are storing all the data that you are reading from the file into this books array. So this is like, treat this as like kind of writing or completing a class, and then slowly we'll deal with some trickier assignments. And out of all this part, one thing that I want you all to focus is on static variables in the class. Notice that we have two static members in a class. One member is a variable called total books, which is of type integer. And then we have another function or another member of class, which is static, which is sort books. So notice that like for anything that's static, it's applicable at the class level rather than object level. So think of it from that way. So it's something that's accessible at the class level, not an object level. So by making total books as static, our intention is that we want to count overall how many books are there in the library. Like overall there are 15 books, but each book has like 4 copies, 8 copies, etc. So the moment you read or create an object, or the moment you read the total books, you will be the moment you read the number of copies of each book, you will be updating total copies variable. And also notice the function sort books. So each object contains date of one book. But sort books, though it is part of class, but it's a static method. So it has the capability to read in the array, to take the array and apply the sorting. So also notice that the way we are using or the way we are calling sort books function. So somewhere here, I'm calling this function called as sort books. So whenever you call a static function, observe the way we are calling. It should be the class name, scope resolution operator, name of the function, attributes that the function takes. So observe these things, pay attention to these syntactical rules, understand what static is, understand the importance of setters and getters, constructors, constructor overloading, because we are having more than one constructor with the same name, and so on like that. So understand all these things, aim at try this assignment, and I believe it should not take more than half an hour because it's kind of straightforward. But in the upcoming assignments, we'll start delving into deeper concepts and start writing programs that is more like software developing practice point of view, we will focus more on. And that's all in this assignment. And like I said, if everything is good, let me see if I can show the pretty picture, like how it runs if everything is good. So somewhere here, I have the solution for the complete code. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do G++ CS202 homework 2.cpp. So a successful compilation should not result in any errors. So it's taking a while. So in the terminal here, we generally compile the code in Visual Studio Code. And as soon as the code is compiled, you should see a .exe file. So ./a.exe followed by the name of the file, which is books.txt. And if you run it in this manner, uh, yeah. So just check that your antivirus doesn't block this as a suspicious thing. Oh yeah. So just a second. Yeah. Yeah, just because that my antivirus blocked it, I had to run it twice. But a successful invocation of the same should say this out, should show you this output. And this output is coming from print book, which is already implemented. So that's pretty much. And do reach out to me or the TA in case if you have any questions. And thank you all for your time.